Multiplication with algebra is what we're going to look at in this video. We're going to start off by looking at index notation, then writing in full form, then looking at multiplying with indices, and then with numbers and indices, and then just letters on their own, and then sort of harder examples, and then finally looking at brackets. So the way my videos work, I'm going to do the example on the left, which is I do. You are then going to press pause and have a go at the example on the right, which is you do. And the bottom of the slide has the type of example. So we've been asked to simplify the following. So we can simplify this down to y cubed. So the 3 is telling us how many y's there are. Okay, so hopefully you've pressed pause and had a go at the example on the right. So this would be e squared, and just a word here that h, for example, as an indice can be written as h to the power of 1. Okay, there's just one h. So moving on, now we've been asked to write in full form. So to write this in full form, that would just be e times e times e. And again, hopefully you've pressed pause and had a go at this example. So that just will be 5 lots of r. So here's some practice questions. Press pause and have a go. Here are the answers. Mark your work. Moving on, we now have multiplication with indices. And all we do here is we add the powers together. So the answer is n to the power of 3 plus 4, which just becomes n to the power of 7. And again, hopefully you've pressed pause and had a go at this. Now, it's worth knowing with this, when the power's not there, it's the same as to the power of 1. Okay, so this becomes c. So the answer here just becomes c to the power of 1 plus 4. And then if you just add that together, that's c to the power of 5. So here's some practice questions. Press pause and have a go. Here are the answers. Mark your work. Now, moving on, we now have numbers and indices as well. So the way I like to do this is in 2 parts. So first I would focus on the numbers. So the numbers is 2 times 3. That gives me, apologies, 2 times 3, which is 6. And then I look at the indices. So that's just going to be y cubed times y4. And that's just going to be y to the power of 3 plus 4, which is 7. So the final answer is going to be 6y7. Okay, so that's going to be that and that. So again, hopefully you've pressed pause and had a go at the example on the right. So that's going to be 4 times 2 for the numbers, which is 8. And then p cubed times p5. And if I add the indices together, that's p8. So the final answer here is 4p8. Now looking at this one, again, just remember when the indice is not there, it's the same as to the power of 1. So we have 9 on its own, and we can just say there's a 1 here as well. So 9 times 1 is 9. And then we have c to the power of 1 times c to the power of 4, which is c to the power of 5. So the final answer is 9c5. And again, hopefully you press pause and add a go at this example here. So we have 8w to the power of 9. Now moving on, again, with this one, we can just put a 1 there. So that will be 4 times 3 times 1 if I multiply all the numbers, which is 12. And then if I do the letters, so that is 6, 7, 8, 9. So the answer is 12y9. And again, looking at this one here, so we have 8 times 5 times 4. So we look at the numbers first. 8 times 5 is 40. 40 times 10 is 400. And then we have s to the power of 4 times s to the power of 5 times s. So that will become s to the power of 10. So the answer here is 400s to the power of 10. So here's some practice questions. Press pause and have a go. Here are the answers. Mark your work. Now moving on. So this e times f, that just becomes ef. Okay, so that's how you do that. And again, with this one, that just becomes AB. Now with this one, that just becomes 3F. And with this one, it just becomes 9R. Now you can write it as R9, but it's convention to write the number first and then the letter. So again, with this one, you can do the numbers first. 6 times 4 is 24. And with the letter, we just have the letter. And again, on the right, numbers first, 21, and then T. And then here, we can do the numbers first, that's 25, and then E times F is just EF. And again, we can do the numbers first, which is 12, and then A times B is just AB. And here's some practice questions. Press pause and have a go. Here are the answers. Now, moving on. So we have 3 times 9. So I'll split this one out. So 3 times 9 is 36. And then we have, no, it's not 36, it's 27. And then we have F times F, which just becomes f squared. So the final answer is 27f squared. And on the right, so 5 times 4 is 20. T times t just becomes t squared because you can add the indices together. So just remember, this is the power of 1 and 1. So moving on, so we have 2 times 7, which is 14. And we have f to the power of 2 times f to the power of 4, which is f to the power of 6. So the final answer is 14f to the power of 6. And then here it'll be 6 times 3, which is 18, and then t to the power of 9. Now moving on. So it looks a little bit trickier here. So again, I would recommend splitting it out. So 7 times 2 is 14. So we've done that. We now look at the e's, e to the power of 5 times e to the power of 3. That becomes e to the power of 8. And then finally, we have f to the power of 2 times f to the power of 4, which becomes f to the power of 6. So the final answer is 14, e to the power of 8, f to the power of 6. And then on the right, so 9 times 3, that just becomes 27. The r becomes a 7, and the t becomes a 9. So moving on, again, with this one, so the only one thing you're going to be careful of is that, of course, the e's got the power of 1. Just don't forget that. So that will be 12, e to the power of 4, f to the power of 6. And looking at the right, so we have 5 times 1. There's a 1 there, which is 5. And then we have r cubed, and then t to the power of 9. And with this one, so 5 times 11 is 55. E to the power of 0 and e to the power of 1, that just becomes e. And then f and f to the power of 4 just becomes f to the power of 5. So again, looking at the right, 10 times 1 is just going to be 10. The r is just going to be an r because that's 0 plus 1. And the t is going to become to the power of 8. So here's some practice questions. Press pause and have a go. Here are the answers. Mark your work. Now finally, we're going to look at cases with brackets. Now with brackets, you just multiply the indices. So that just becomes q to the power of 8. And again, hopefully you've pressed pause, and that becomes r to the power of 30. Now it becomes a little bit trickier when you look at this. So the same rule applies to the letter. So with the letter, it does become 4 times 3, which is y to the power of 12. Now with the number, it's going to become cubed. Okay, so the way you can actually write this is 3 cubed, and then y to the power of 4 bracket 3. So we've done this bit already. And now this is cubed, so that's just saying, well, what's 3 times 3 times 3? So 3 times 3 is 9. 9 times 3 is 27. So the final answer is 27, y to the power of 12. Again, here, this is going to say, well, we have 2 to the power of 4, and then we just have 4 times 3 here, so that's n to the power of 12. And now we can tidy this up. So 2 times 2 is 4, 4 times 2 is 8, and 8 times 2 is 16. So 16 n to the power of 12. And here's some practice questions. Press pause and have a go. Here are the answers. Mark your work. Now, if you would like some more practice, I've got a full worksheet on this over on my website, linked in the comments down below. And if you did find this useful, I've got loads of other content like this. Do check it out.